This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update for you. The long ongoing lawsuit between Jeff Jarrett and Impact Wrestling, as well as their parent company, Anthem Sports, is going to court tomorrow. Finally, that has to do with Jeff giving Impact the rights to use his Global Force Wrestling video footage when he was working for the company around 2017. But then when he left the company, he didn't want them to use the footage anymore, and I guess they'd erased the tapes. So they had the master copy, and they never gave it back to Jarrett. So good luck to Jeff Jarrett in that lawsuit. But as far as that whole situation, that's something that only Impact could do. Erase the master tape of footage that had some value, because I believe some of that Global Force Wrestling footage included wrestlers that went on to be stars. I don't believe Global Force ever had a TV deal, but I know Jeff Jarrett did record some pilots. As far as that brief period of time where Impact started calling themselves Global Force Wrestling and brought in Global Force Wrestling titles and all that stuff, I never understood it, because it's not like anyone knew who Global Force Wrestling was. There was no brand. It's like Impact and TNA were better known than Global Force Wrestling to begin with. So why would you rebrand yourself as a company that no one's ever heard of? And then you delete the master tapes. That makes absolutely no sense, but it's finally going to court, and I'll keep you guys updated. And Paul Grillo, I thought Jarrett owned TNA back then. No, Jeff and Jerry Jarrett started TNA. Then at various points, other people took it over, including Dixie Carter was one of them. I believe Jarrett had some minor interest in it at various points when other people were running it. Then there was some issue with Jarrett taking Kurt Angle's wife that got Jarrett out of Impact for a while. Then he came back. Then he was out again. Then Anthem took over Impact. And then at one point, Jarrett was friends with Scott D'Amore. I can only assume he's no longer friends with D'Amore, since D'Amore is an Anthem executive now, and Jarrett's suing them. But it was Scott that brought Jarrett back into the mix, and then they had the falling out, and now Jeff Jarrett is back as a producer for WWE. You remember Jarrett saying his wife died on TV. Paul Grillo says, yes, Jarrett's first wife did die. I actually got a lot of heat because shortly after Jarrett's first wife died, I had booked Jeff for his one and only appearance in Great North Wrestling. And he made the show, but he said because his wife had died, he didn't feel like wrestling, so he only interfered in the match. So he still wanted his full pay, which I think at that time was like $2,500 plus business class airfare. But I got a lot of heat from the fans because he just interfered in the match rather than have a match. But it wasn't my fault. He said he didn't want to wrestle, so the best I could do was have him there in some capacity, which was interference. For WWE news, apparently WWE made $177 million during the coronavirus pandemic lawsuits. Obviously, for their TV revenue and everything, they still have good revenue coming in. Their live events wasn't necessarily a moneymaker. They got TV revenue, YouTube revenue, merchandising revenue, still video game revenue. So they're still doing well. There's a bunch of people complaining that they release people during the pandemic. Everyone they released, they should have released. I'll be perfectly honest. At certain points, companies need to let people go. And yes, they are making money now, but let's face it, does the future really look that bright for WWE getting great TV deals in the future with the ratings that they're getting these days? I don't know about that. So as a businessman, I don't think they're doing that bad of a move cutting wrestlers that they weren't really using anyways. Some of them, like Heath Slater, for instance, was making like $400,000 a year, according to reports. Why keep a guy that's not over under a large contract like that? It makes no sense. And I like Luke Gallows and Anderson, but reportedly those guys were making like $750,000 a year. So were they worth $750,000? I don't know, but it looks like they're going to be just fine. They're going to probably end up back. All of the good wrestlers, like Gallows, I would say has the most potential out of all those wrestlers released, are going to still be relevant once their no compete clauses expired. They're still being paid right now. Gallows told me personally his no compete ends July 18th, so they're still getting paid. Unlike a lot of people that were fired and lost their job during the coronavirus pandemic, which is still going on, but during the actual lockdown phase, all those guys still get paid for 3 months after their release. Apparently, there's going to be a big announcement regarding NXT UK tomorrow. There's a conference call happening with all the UK talent. NXT UK hasn't run since the beginning of the lockdown. It's been months and months and months. A lot of the NXT UK wrestlers were released already. We just didn't make the news because most of us haven't heard of half of the people or more than half of the people that work for NXT UK because it's not a popular brand. And some are expecting that maybe they're going to announce tomorrow that they're dropping the brand, and the people that they don't release, maybe it'll just be moved to the NXT in the US, or they might be announcing something else. We'll find out tomorrow. Two of the wrestlers from NXT UK, Travis Banks and Ligero, were already fired last week as part of the speaking out movement. And there's been other wrestlers involved with that have had allegations against them, according to reports. So they might just pull the plug on it, or they might do something else. But NXT UK hasn't been running house shows for a long time. They've just been doing TV tapings. And speaking of business decisions, if you have to keep paying all these wrestlers that you're barely using, why keep doing it? Honestly. Masks were permitted at the SmackDown tapings on Friday. That's why we saw people in the crowd with masks for the first time. If anyone wants to let me know how Raw was tonight, you can let me know in the comments. I just got back from the gym, traveling to Quebec for my workouts these days. WWE has made it very clear, according to the Wrestling Observer, that they don't want any further wrestlers going public about having COVID. There are names that are unnamed publicly from both the Raw and SmackDown side that have it and haven't gone public. If you look at the wrestlers that weren't on SmackDown last Friday and weren't on Raw this Monday and may have had interview segments with Renee Young, or maybe they had contact with Jamie Noble as a producer, those two were known to have had their coronavirus, as well as several others that came out public before WWE reportedly asked people to stop talking about it. You could guess on who maybe has it and who doesn't. Cody Rhodes said on Twitter that Sammy Guevara, who said in 2016 he was going to rape a wrestler as an expression, Cody, I guess, said on Twitter that Sammy will be back and he's going to be a better person and better wrestler after being suspended for what happened. I just find it funny because AEW did not even exist in 2016, and it's 2020 now, 4 years later, and they punished him for something that somebody dug up from him that happened in 2016. I know he probably still wants to work for them, but he could probably sue them over that, to be perfectly honest, because how does something that he said, why should he be punished by the company he works for in 2020 over a dumb remark he made in 2016? It's a little weird. And Cody's saying he's going to be a better person and better wrestler. Well, as far as a better person, isn't he a heel? So shouldn't he be a bad person to begin with? Why do we have to keep shoving it in people's faces that our heels are really nice guys? I don't know. AEW only had a 0.22 rating last week with Jericho, I think, versus Orange Cassidy in a feature match. Very exciting product for a select few there with AEW. There's been a lot of heat against Low-Key online for, I guess, making a post about not wanting to wear masks. And people are on at him. And Meltzer pointed out something about Canada's numbers being lower than the US. Well, just to be clear, in Canada here, there's never been a rule, at least in Ottawa here. I live in the capital city of Canada, where you have to wear a mask to go into a grocery store, because I've been grocery shopping every week without a mask on. No one said anything, and maybe only 5% or less of people in the grocery stores have been wearing masks. I've been working out at a gym in Quebec since last week. I haven't seen one person wear a mask in the gym. I think our numbers are low because, yeah, we're maybe not rioting like in the US. The rioting has caused a lot of the spread, and we were more careful about opening things up. But as far as I'm aware, it wasn't because we've been forcing people to wear masks. I support Low-Key that if you don't want to wear a mask, you should not have to wear a mask. The US is supposed to be a free country, just like Canada is supposed to be a free country. If you're a healthy person and you don't want to wear a mask, you shouldn't have to. That's my stance on it. And the final thing I'm going to mention is on my Honky Tonk Man and Jake Roberts shoot interviews, I get so many comments about the infamous loaded or ungimmicked guitar with the snake pit segment between Honky Tonk Man and Jake Roberts. And there's so much hatred from fans that say the guitar wasn't gimmicked because Jake Roberts is still selling the angle. Jake Roberts, great wrestler, still sells a lot of stuff, okay? The Honky Tonk Man guitar, the fact that there's no way to fake a DDT and he had to give Ricky Steamboat a concussion to the outside, yet we see DDTs to the outside as high spots today. And hell, I've taken a million DDTs. It's actually an easy move to take. But Jake Roberts, he'll still try and get over as much as possible that the DDT was the most dangerous move in wrestling. And I commend him for it. By the way, my sacrifice powerbomb is pretty dangerous too. No one ever kicked out of it. But onto the guitar. Jake will still claim that that was 100% real and that caused all of his drug addictions. I never took it. You'll never really know. He sold it well. Honky Tonk Man says the guitar was gimmicked. But there's a lot of heat on the Honky Tonk Man over that. Since when is it the wrestler's job in a major company like WWE to provide the prop? In a movie, if John Wayne or whoever, who's a pop, if The Rock hits somebody with a guitar in the movie and hurt the guy with the guitar because it wasn't gimmicked properly, would you guys be mad at The Rock or the production company that didn't give the proper prop? It's the WWE's fault if the guitar wasn't gimmicked properly, not the Honky Tonk Man's. But who really will ever know, because Jake is a good worker. If you don't believe he's a good worker, search Jake the Snake confesses his sins clip that I was allowed to post on here because Bill Anderson and Billy Graham sent it to me from a very special empty ring production that they did in the church back in '96. Very interesting video and great promos by Jake in that. Long Duck Dong, tip me $1.49 with a sign that says no. I don't know what that's referring to. You'll have to be more clear on that. But thank you for the $1.49. I will put that towards buying a protein shake. They cost $5. So if anyone wants to add up to that $1.49 to pay for my next protein shake, feel free. Genji G says they released them so they can hire them back for less money because they realize AEW sucks, referring to the released WWE wrestlers. And that is true, though. They will hire a bunch of those guys back for less money. And you have a point. At first, they didn't know if AEW was going to be strong competition. So they were trying to lock everybody down, like Gallows and Anderson, who they didn't want to go to AEW. But now they realize AEW is really not a threat. Its ratings are dwindling. Its popularity is dwindling. So, yeah, I agree with you, Jen Lee. No need to lock them down, as you said. Someone was asking if I watched Raw. No, I did not. John Falsetta, half the guys asked to be released. And that is funny. I'll bring that up. You have a very good point, John. A bunch of the guys that were released, such as some of their names aren't even coming to me because I don't even remember the names of most of the ones released other than Zack Ryder, who I agree he should have been released a long time ago. He's the drizzling shits. But there were guys on there like Mike Kanellis that was released that had asked for their release. And then when they finally got released, then they're whining about being released during the lockdown. It's like, fuck you. You asked to be released, you spoiled brat. You know how many people would kill to make multi-$100,000 a year to play fight? And then one of your complaints was you were hardly working. Oh, boy. Well, now guess what? You're actually going to have to work for a living. Maybe you'll have to get a real job like the rest of us. And then maybe you'll be thinking back, maybe I shouldn't have complained about my multi-$100,000 a year job to either sit at home or have fun wrestling. It's a lot better than real jobs, working in like a grocery store, working security, working in a sawmill, which was one of the worst jobs I ever had in my life. Imagine like the sawdust down your back constantly. Oh man, that was by far one of the worst jobs. That I actually even got into a fight with someone working at a sawmill. Couple more questions. Someone says CM Punk isn't a big star. He could be beaten in MMA by a middle-aged single mom who takes booty boot camps at her local YMCA twice a week. I don't know about that, but I definitely think Ronda Rousey could mop the floor with CM Punk. Amanda Nunes could mop the floor with CM Punk. Any male UFC fighter could. Yeah. Tyson Grimson, do I live in Cornwall, Ontario? No, I live in Ottawa, Ontario. I have wrestled in Cornwall multiple times and covered boxing events there. Long Duck Dawn, tip me another $2. So $1. I have now $3.49. Does anyone want to tip me another $1.50 to buy my protein shake tomorrow? Long Duck Dog says Honky Tonk Man is the shit, so suck it. Well, for anyone that likes to bash the Honky Tonk Man, which, by the way, he keeps refusing to do another shoot interview with me. He says he's done with wrestling. He's very much finished with wrestling, but I'll still keep on him because the first shoot interview Honky Tonk Man did with me has over 3 million views. And you guys can search it up, but I believe 3 million views for a shoot interview is actually the highest viewed full shoot interview on YouTube of any full shoot interview of any company, not just the Hannibal TV. So the Honky Tonk Man is popular, whether you like him or not. He was a great heel. He was a great heel. He still is a heel. He's a heel in real life. There's what? I'll just go over the footage I have of Honky Tonk Man here. There's a bunch of his matches. There's that 3-hour shoot interview that has over 3 million hits. There is a bunch of smaller shoot interviews. If you search Honky Tonk Man, the Hannibal TV shoot interviews, you'll find some hidden gems in there on this channel, including a drunken one he did with me that was like 12 years ago now, believe it or not. Johnny Smith says, my Malibu shoot got me watching these old American Gladiators episodes. Yes, I think I might do more American Gladiator interviews because I've had very good reaction to that Malibu interview. He's also been on Married with Children, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Walker, Texas Ranger, The Killing Zone. Oh, thank you. Jen GG. Tip me $1.99. Thank you. You guys bought me my post-workout protein drink tomorrow. Jen GG and Long Duck Dong. So you know what? I'm going to close it at that. Thank you, Jen GG and Long Duck Dong, for buying me my protein drink tomorrow. I got to pack back on the weight that I lost because you know what? I have a lot of heat. A lot of people threaten me. A lot of people want to fight me. So I got to be ready to be attacked at any time. I got to be ready to defend myself. You never know. That's part of being a heel. Who's going to come after you. So have a good night, everybody.